Hey guys, welcome back to Alaikum. So our run is starting. Guys, get excited for this. We've been talking about it for so long now. I really want to just pull up everything we have because I was actually sleeping for so long at this point. But let's just look at our daily. I know we didn't get exactly where we wanted to, so we can see right here we did close below that Bollinger Band. Wait, actually, just before I start, let me just quickly share this on Twitter so people who want to join can join. Okay, sorry, welcome back. My apologies. So with that being said, we're currently at 17761. This is looking at the daily, I believe. Yeah, so we are looking at the daily here. I just wanted to quickly touch upon one. Look at this. We were getting ready this entire time. We knew for a fact we were going to run. Look, this is the first day of the cross. This is not the last day by any means. In fact, this is probably going to take place over the course of the next day. So here we'll see this, and the next day we'll see a bigger candle. So don't panic. We're just kind of trading sideways for now, because in about 13 hours, you're going to see an even bigger momentum push. So that being said, there are a couple of things we do need to make note of. It's not insane, but we do need to make note of these things. One, over here we can see the Bollinger Band resistance at 16606, as well as the EMA 30, if I recall on the daily. Let's just pull it up really quickly so I can just check here. On the daily, yeah, so the EMA 30 on the daily is at 168. So I'm just gonna put these down on the chat right here. Daily candle, res 4:03 a.m. So the bull res is at bull at 16658 and EMA 30 at 16799. Then of course we have our upper band of resistance right here. We can see very clearly is at 17474. So everything plays a role altogether here. So sorry for that. So yeah, as you can see here, we're at 17591. We do have this upper band of resistance currently sitting at 17477. So that's just going to be a big indicator for you to know that even if we run further than that, as you saw here, we peaked out at 1.8. We're going to have to come back in, mainly because it's resistance point. But if things follow how we expect it to follow, then we should see this candle actually close above this resistance point. So what we're probably expecting to see is to close between 17477 to about 1.8 range for the next 13 hours, which I think is fantastic. I'm sure all of your portfolios have been going up. So that being said, let's look at the 8-hour, because that actually closed, and that's what started this whole run, really, right? The 8-hour candle closing. So let's see how that's coming along, because this will also tell us very quickly what indicators we should be looking for. So then here we are. This is the upper band of resistance currently on the 8-hour, and it is sitting at 16975. So that's currently here, and we know for a fact at 11 a.m. this is actually going to shift quite a lot. It's probably going to push upward to the 173, maybe a 174 range. So then once it does that, then it comes into the daily, and that's where that daily point that we saw before for this run, LNC and USDC. So I just received a question by Osmate asking, what's the prediction for this run, LNC and USDC, please? Okay. So this is going to be entirely dependent on how strong we break our resistance points. So the key resistance points, and I'm going to also write it down in the chat here as well, is, let me just quickly pull it up for you. So the key resistance points are going to be on the weekly, by the way. So Let's just switch over here to the weekly candle so we can have a better idea of what are we expecting, right? By the way, speaking of the weekly, look at this. This is it. This is the candle outside of that resistance line or the wedge. So this is actually the start of everything. This week will either we choose to run up or we fall down. So resistances that we want to break by next week that'll ensure a run is over here at 17186. But that's not the entirety of the predictions. Let's just keep looking at it. Okay. So then our first point of contact, what we want to see within the next week is to break this upper band of resistance at 2-1. So we're going to have 3 key resistance points. So goals to break for our run. So 0.0021 is going to be the start point. 0.0021, that's the start. If we break that, 0.00035, that's our second point. If we break that, 0.008, sorry, and of course, lastly, break, and the peak at 0.00122 to 0.0018. So for those who are just joining, I was asked a question of what would be my prediction for this run. So we have 3 key points that we're going to want to see going into this run to ensure whether or not we'll hit our peak. But the absolute peak I'm expecting is 0.0018. That's the absolute peak, and the current chances of that are sitting at about 10 to 15%. Why I say it's not that high just yet is because we don't know just yet if we're going to break these resistance lines. And we've been notorious, especially in the past few months, to not break resistance points and come back down. So I'm just being on the conservative end. So then the next point of 0.008, that's at a actually much higher chance, sitting around 60%. And then, of course, 0.0035 sits much, much higher at closer to 90. And the 2-1 is pretty much guaranteed for this week. We're probably going to see within the next 6 days or so that 2-1 range hitting, and hopefully we can break it. So up here is this band of resistance on the 2-1. This band of resistance, by the way, is going to take a little bit to push upward. That's why we're going to need to see this organically happen. If we don't see it happen organically, then we're definitely going to come crashing down, and very, very hard at that. But that's on the weekly. That covers a lot of what we need to talk about for the weekly. Let's just go back very quickly to the 12-hour candle, actually, because that's just about to close, right? So the 12-hour candle closes at 7 a.m. in the morning. So we have about 3 hours to go here. So let's see how this is developing along, because this is also going to give us a lot of wiggle room as we go into our day candle close. So I don't know, I should be there in the chat. Yeah, exactly. So on the daily candle, for those, again, who are just joining, we have our resistance points at 16658 and 16799, as well as the upper band of resistance. I should have written that down. Let me just write it down really quickly, as well as the upper band of resistance at 17418. So upper band res on daily 17420. So what that means is, if this follows how every candle we expect, or how every pattern we expect to follow, then we should see us close between 17420 to 118. That is what we're expecting for the next 13 hours. So we're going to be sitting around that range. Why are we thinking 1.8? Well, that's because that's where this kind of peaked out at. So unless we see some momentum change, it's probably going to be around there. And that momentum change I'm referring to is actually what I was talking about with the 12-hour candle. So with the 12-hour candle, we know the upper band of resistance is currently at 17074. So in 3 hours, 2 hours, 50 minutes, this upper band of resistance is going to push up. It's going to push up by about 175 range. So it'll probably go around here, 175. As you can see, as I mentioned earlier, that's still not high enough, right? 175 is not high enough for it to give us a lot of room. So instead, we're going to see a candle go between 175 to 18, once again supporting the idea that we're probably going to peak around 18 for the next 13 hours before we run forward. With that being said, if we do close between that range on the daily, then the next candle has every support on the daily, the 12-hour, every single support could possibly have. So what that means is if we close between 174 to 18 in 13 hours, we're going to see a really, really strong, 13 hours? at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So 15 hours, we're going to see a really, really strong candle. And this candle is probably going to be what we see pushing up to the 1.9, possibly the 2.0. So that we're expecting to see happen tomorrow. For today, this really is just the initial part of the run. It's fantastic to see. It's so exciting to see, but don't get super excited. This is just the beginning. And I really do mean just the beginning, because you can even see it here on the daily. We've just crossed over. This is our crossover event. It's just starting. So the hourly did just close. I want to have a quick look to see if we have any more momentum left in us to keep pushing, because that's gonna be key, right? So the hourly closed here. We saw this was our big candle run up. So usually what we expect to see happen here in this candle is this candle is going to stay above the resistance point. So we're going to be strongly above 17258. But in terms of movement, we're probably expecting to be about neutral. So you can see here, this was just before the run. It was about 18 and then went skyrocketed to 71. Massive, by the way. That's about 53 points, right? Then from that 53 to the current 111, that's about 40 points. So we can already see this momentum slowing down very, very quickly, which is supporting that notion that we're looking to more so trade sideways versus pushing up any higher. Is that a bad thing? No, not at all, because right here we can see our upper band of resistance is at 17243. In the next hour, this is going to push upward to the 174, 173 range. So we're going to start to come back down. We'll probably trade between 170 to 175 for the next 3 hours. That aligns up with our 12-hour, by the way, because our 12-hour closes at 7 a.m., right? So everything kind of fits in with this narrative here that we know for a fact we're going to be above this resistance line of 17058. We're going to be above it. We're going to be fairly strong above it, which means between 172 and 175. So I think that covers everything pretty well. If everybody has any questions, by the way, now's a good time to go ahead and ask. I'll be here, and I'll definitely have this stream running for as long as I can. Yeah, I guess that's most of what we want to talk about. We can also, by the way, this is also something we're going to start to see with all the candles. So we're going to see this pattern occur here, where we already have the slowdown happening in the 1 hour. Every other candle hasn't reached that point, but it's going to, and that's going to tell us where that peak was and where we're going to trade sideways. So in the case of, for example, 15-minute, we saw it was at 1.8, right? So what we can see here, by the way, is the previous candle has a strong push up. The second one has a good sideways momentum, and we as we discussed, we knew that was going to happen for the hourly too, right? So this is exactly what's going to happen. We're going to have that in between, well above this resistance point kind of candle, and then we're going to have a candle that starts to touch back into the resistance point, and the following one well within it. So we're definitely going to see that happen in about 1 minute here. So let's talk about this upper band of resistance. It's at 17479. That's going to push into the 175 range in about a minute, and then you'll see us come within this point. So let's give that a minute just so I can show you guys really what I'm talking about, and then I'm not crazy for anybody who thinks I am. I don't think I'm crazy. Close, candle, close. Okay, so it is currently 415. There it is, and look at that candle. Where are we currently? 175. Where's that band of resistance? 17522. So exactly as we thought, we fell within that upper band of resistance. It came within exactly as expected. So that's what we're more or less going to see for the bigger candles. It's just a good way to tell exactly where we are and how much are we going to trade sideways. So this trading sideways part, by the way, is super important for those who are unaware, because that's when all of our supports pull up. Like look over here with this, with our Bollinger Band of support, right? So we had it here about an hour ago at 16380. Currently, it's at 16567. This is going to be very, very important, because while we trade sideways, two things are going to happen. One, our supports are going to pull upward, and two, this upper band of resistance is going to give more space for us. So what we're definitely going to start to see happen is here we're going to start to trade sideways above this band, start to trade sideways, this pushes upward, and then we're going to see one more push upward. That one more push upward, everything is aligning up to see it happen at 7 a.m., which is when that 12-hour closes, which is when we flip more resistance points. So it all kind of falls in line with what we're starting to see happen. We can see here we're pushing on this up bound of resistance, which is fantastic because we want to make as much room as possible because we're definitely going to need to head towards the 2-0 range. And all of this kind of just shows us that we're going to push toward 2-0 in about I keep saying 13 hours. It's not 13 hours. Sorry. In about 15 hours, I believe, is the case. Yeah, 15 hours, 7 p.m. daily close. So that's from 7 p.m. onward Eastern Standard Time, by the way. That between 7 p.m. tomorrow, or I guess in the evening, to the next day, you're going to see 0.0019 to 0.00021. That's going to be the exciting point because that's when we're going to test the first major resistance line. We break that, then we head over to 3.5, and that's when I kind of talked about earlier. Break 3.5, head over to 0.0008, break that, and head over to 0.0012 to the 1.8 range. For everybody who's here though, what are your predictions? I've been curious. Like, does anybody see anything differently? Does anybody actually think it's going to go to $1 in this run? Because I personally think that's insane. But if you guys think that, then like by all means, I just want to hear your thought process of why you think it would go to $1 within this run. Which I just want to zoom in here while I kind of wait to see if anybody really has a thought on that. Look exactly. It's not as pretty, but look right here. You can see exactly the point that we're sitting at on this positive is right on that resistance point. And just and that third candle, so we saw the second candle cleanly outside, third candle touching, and fourth candle back in. And we're gonna actually see that play out in the half an hour, by the way. So the half an hour closes in 12 minutes. It hasn't had as many candles just yet, but look at this play out. One candle well outside, one candle pushing through, second candle well outside, right? Everything kind of plays along with that because you understand, like when you start to read charts more and more, you'll start to understand that after every single run, it needs to peak out, it needs to petter out. And the way that it does that is this slow kind of movement of bands of resistance with price. So see here, this one, we're looking, at least with next, no, not $1. I'm still confused how the run started after losing the 8 hour. Oh, charts are crazy. Did we lose the 8 hour? I mean, like we lost. I mentioned this at the very end of my stream yesterday, I think, or at some point in the video. But on the daily, if we close just below, so if we close just below this band of resistance here, we were going to see a run up. So we can see that very clearly happen, right? Like we came pretty close, but closed below. We never touched that band of resistance, which meant we kept all of our momentum to push upward. So we knew actually for a fact on the daily we were going to run in the next day. And if I was up or if I made a video, I would also have specified that. But you were referring specifically to the 8 hours. I do want to check that, see maybe I missed something that you had seen that I didn't. I see what you mean here. The 8 hour itself was not as supportive. Yes, I do agree with that, especially because it kept pushing up on this band of resistance. But the daily was definitely supporting a movement, a strong movement within the next 24 hours. And obviously that takes precedent over the 8 hour candle, which, by the way, for those who are joining and don't know, this is our wedge. Let me just zoom out for a second so you can actually see that better. Yeah, this massive wedge that started since August, pretty much. Look at that. Okay, that's there we go. So look at that, the bottom to the top. This has been in the makings for so long. 0.0012 will take a lot of time, don't you think? Okay, so in the case, Walaikum Assalam, by the way. So in the case of reaching 0.0012, what we're expecting to see happen when I say 0.0012 is we're expecting to see something like this. So you see, let's zoom in a little bit here so I can explain myself a little bit better. For us to flatline, as in for us to start trading sideways 0.0012, that's going to take a long time, yes. But what we will see is within the span of even a week, maybe 2 weeks, a push upward at the peak being 0.0012. And then from there, we're going to retrace about 63% and come back down. So if we do hit the peak, by the way, of 0.0012 to 0.0018, then do expect it to retrace and the price of the of LUNC to come back down between 0.0005 to 0.0008. And then what's going to happen from there, if things follow accordingly, is it's going to trade sideways again as it creates a new wedge where we'll expect to see by the end of 2023 a second run up. And the second run up is going to be even bigger because at that point, we're going to see the market change. So at the moment, LUNC has been working very, very independently and doing everything it can on its own. But when the market conditions are in our favor, especially towards the end of 2023, possibly 2024, we're going to see a massive, massive spike. And I'm talking looking well past 0.0012, likely into that 0.004 to 0.008 range. That's so far off right now because I haven't seen that wedge yet, right? I haven't seen the technicals for it, but that's just basically how it's likely looking to happen. Because every single wedge, when you break, you create a new bottom, and that new bottom tends to be much higher than the previous one. Let's head back to where we currently are. But yeah, so then this is what we've been doing for so long now. And look here, this is where we currently are. We are breaking through. Now, of course, candles, like depending on what candle you're looking at, it makes a huge difference. So while the daily candle is great to look at, the big one here was really the weekly. So the weekly candle, just zoom in here. Again, this is just for those who are joining or are unaware. This is our first ever weekly candle to be above the wedge point. At no point, whether below or above, at no point have we ever had this. So in which case, if this is the first candle, it's also the first warm-up candle. Meaning this is the candle that is going to break all those resistances, flip those supports, and then get ready for the actual run. And we can see that here. This hasn't crossed yet. Take that in. We're getting excited for a run that hasn't actually begun just yet. Because over here, and we can see this with every sort of trend, over here we have this one candle, and if you look at actually where the band was, this candle broke resistance, and then it was the following one that ran. So in that exact same way, what we're going to see with this candle is we're going to push up, we're going to break a whole lot of resistance points, but this won't be our run candle. It's the next one. That's what I'm super excited about, and that's why we need to see within the next 6 days we break all resistance points. That is key, absolutely key to knowing how strong of a run this is going to be. So the 30-minute is getting ready to close. And let's just zoom in on it so you can kind of see exactly what I was talking about here. And check it out. A very clean candle outside of the point, right? At no point is it coming in, no point is touching, which also means the next candle will be the one that starts to come in line. As you can see here with the 15-minute, completely outside, not really touching, next one comes in line. That's exactly what we're expecting to see happen on the half an hour, which will then finally translate into the hourly and the rest of the candles subsequently. Which, by the way, for those who are wondering what happens after that, you can actually see it happen or play out in the smaller candles, which is why I really do love looking. I mean, I look at every single candle, every single resistance point, every single support. So I guess I'm a bit of an outlier in that sense, but I love looking at all of them because it gives me the perfect idea of what's to come and how we're going to run. So that being said, here we currently are. You can see here that this is probably going to play out in a similar way. And by that, what I mean by that is the peak, we're gonna start to flatline, and as long as we have really good supports, like the flatline is fine, and the negative momentum comes to an end much sooner. So you can see on the 15 here, for example, let's just go from the peak. So it's 157 points down to about 37. So that was about 20 points. Then we fell even further, right? 29 points. And then this is where we start to see a slowdown. 20 points, 18 points, 13 points, and now coming down to once more 13 points. So how was it that it slowed down like this? Why did it slow down like this? Well, that all comes down to our supports. So for example, let's talk about even just the median band of supports at 17011. It's come a long way from that start back here at 16373. But that's not the only supports we have, right? For every single candle, we have about give or take 4 or 5 supports. So let's talk about the 5-minute supports we had and whether we touched it or not. And there you have it. We did touch it. So I'm going to put it in the chat here for you guys to understand. But 5-min candle supports 17486, 17486, 17366, 66, and 169. Okay, so I just put in the chat for those who aren't aware that the 5-minute support points were at 17486. Where did we bottom, by the way? Just for those who can't quite see it, at the 17393 towards the 17359. Both of these points back at that time, about 10 minutes ago, that's where the support line was sitting. So our support line, and you can see why I was having this kind of a strong downward momentum, and then boom, started to slow down because it was starting to hit our supports, and our supports were coming up even stronger, helping us out. So all of these things just like it plays out exactly how you expect. So if you know where your supports are, if you understand where that movement is, you're gonna understand where we're gonna bottom out and how we're gonna move. Inshallah. Like of course, it's not 100% accurate, but it gives you a pretty good idea. So with that being said, we're coming up to one, as I mentioned earlier, the 30-minute candle line close, and that's in about 3 minutes. So let's just quickly have a look at the minute play-by-play here to see if we're going to have a final push upward or if we're just going to come back down. So at least initially what we know is getting ready to, let's make sure of this. 2 minutes left. Yeah, exactly. What we know was what was getting ready to happen was we were getting ready to head back negative. And of course, we do have our supports, which is definitely going to flip this, by the way, very quickly. Probably going to bottom out here about 1744 range for the next half hour here as we push back up. This is the minute candle though, so it isn't as accurate to tell me that far along, but it gives me an idea at least for the next 5 to 10 minutes. So here it is. It's touching the support for the first time. This is the 17518. It's going to hold that out for one candle, but then the next candle, you're going to see a bigger drop down to the 1744 range. And there is the bounce, which is fantastic to see because that just means the supports are playing the role that it needs to play. And still 2 minutes left. Come on. I'm fairly impatient at this point because one, I'm genuinely so excited for us guys. This is what we've been wanting to see. And this is understanding that hey, it's happening exactly as we thought it would. So we have about 1 minute left. Let's see how the 5-minute candle is playing out here. And there it is, that slightly pushed back upward. The supports are definitely coming back even higher at this point, likely. I mentioned it on the chat. This is at 17486. Likely that support has now, in about 1 minute, going to come up to the 175 range, which is going to help out a lot as it pretty much guarantees where a bottom is going to start to look. I'm still expecting a bottom over the course of the hours to come down to 172. 172 is probably what we're going to look for the massive bottom, by the way, as we bounce back up on it. And we can see that here as well with this median band sitting at 17013 right now. This is definitely moving upward with enough momentum to help us up to 172. And it's 4:30. Let's go. Okay. First off, let's look at the 15-minute. So here we are. It's at this point it's getting ready to cross. So this is when we're going to see this big drop off start to occur, and that's where we're also going to see that 174 start to play out in the next 15 to 30 minutes. Now, of course, we need to discuss where the supports are currently sitting at for the 15-minute candle. So let's pull those up really quickly. 15-minute here. And guys, this is beautiful. So 15-minute supports. I am writing this in chat. 15-minute supports as of 4:30 a.m. Is at 17422, 17131, 17131, and 17131. What's the other one? 1696, and the last one here at 16633. So you can kind of see it playing out even in the 15-minute candle, right? The support is at 17422, which is what we were kind of expecting to be for the next half an hour of us coming down to that 1744 range before we push back upward. So it's kind of nice to see. It is also following along. We do have a bit of a push here, which is great, but it's definitely still going to need to come down because that's just kind of how it goes. So don't get fooled by the, oh, look at us pumping up. But let's check the half an hour. So here's another reason why I say even in the next half an hour, regardless of this little pump, we're going to need to come back in, is because here is a resistance line and it sits at 17445, indicating to us once more that upper band of resistance is where we're expecting to come back within. So that's also supporting the whole 174 is what we're going to see for the next half an hour. So it's great to see all of these things aligning up in such a way. Okay, so with that, let's quickly jump over to the hourly because that has only had one candle so far. Yeah, there we go. So it's had two candles so far. So we can see on the hourly, by the way, this is starting to play out how we kind of expect it to happen. We have one candle, we have the one easily outside. So for those who have been watching now for, I guess, the past half an hour, are you starting to see the pattern? Like, does it make sense to you how this works, or is that just kind of in my head? But while I keep going with that, so this candle strictly outside, this candle pushing upward, the next candle going to come back or going to touch within that point, right? That's what we're excited to see happen. So the current upper band of resistance is at 17242. That is way too low in my opinion. It's gonna have to come up to 174. And you can see it here happen too, right? So the previous one, 17040, 17242, meaning it's gonna come up to the upper 173 range into the 174. How we're expecting everything to play out. But that also means that if the upper band of resistance is at 173, 174 range, then we're going to trade sideways just slightly lower that to the 172. And isn't that what we talked about? That we were expecting to hit that? So the 2-hour candle is the one who's still pushing upward. This is the candle that hasn't seen anything close just yet. It's the first one moving up. So we can see here it's currently sitting at 17506 and it's strongly above the resistance point, right? The resistance point is at 16959 and we're going to actually see this push upward, by the way. So we're going to see this upper band of resistance push up into the 172, even the 173 range. Once more supporting the whole, oh, look where we're going with this. That also means, which is great to see, by the way, at between 5 a.m. to 7 a.m., if this pushes up to 172, then there's no chance we're looking to come down to 172 just yet. Instead, that 172 range, we're going to be outside till at least 7 in the morning. So I think that covers everything I could have possibly covered. While you guys are here, please do be sure to like and share. Like I think I've been live so many times in the past few days, despite I've been getting no sleep. I'm just going to work, or even right now I'll be doing work while I have this going and just trying to update you guys. So it would just mean a lot if you could share. Like I know I've kind of been stagnating at 210, which is huge. Like thank you for whoever pushed me to 210. I've been at 209 for quite some days. I don't want to say it's discouraging, but it's just, hey, Luna V Shape, absolutely welcome. I don't know if you are, I don't know if you were here earlier or if you caught everything that's been said, but we've covered every possible candle. We've covered price predictions. We've covered where the resistance points are, what we need to break, what are our goals for this, for the 12-hour candle, the 8-hour candles, the 24-hour, the weekly. All of these things has been covered. So I hope you caught all of that. And thank you for joining, by the way. It's huge to see. Like my guy, you're basically a celebrity out here, so it's amazing to see you here. So I don't know what candle I actually have currently open here. This is the 5-minute candles going forward. So actually the 5-minute just closed. And by the way, the 5-minute is starting to bottom out, which is fantastic to see. So let's quickly talk about where that is. So 45 points down to 33, so about 12-point difference there, down to about 18. So I had a bit of a pickup here, but even when things pick up, by the way, so like even when you see this kind of accelerate, slow down, the overall momentum is always going to slow down. You have to understand, even if you have a single candle that acts as a bit of an outlier, it's overall going to slow down. Oh, by the way, does anybody know, for those who are in the chat, what time today does Binance carry out its burn? Because like that announcement, that moment, if it aligns up with any of these candles, then we're going to see a massive push upward. Like a massive push upward, which would be fantastic to see. So I just want to get a feeling. And here we are at 1744, by the way. As we thought, the next half hour, we're going to come to that 1744 range, and we've done exactly that. We have come a little under it, but that's okay. I know I will have to update the supports to see where the 5-minute supports are sitting at, but it's definitely going to probably bounce back upward. So here, 33.18, so it's still about 15 points. So so as you can see, even though the candles, like look over here. So this was between 430 to 435. It dropped about 0.31%, right? This one is currently down about 0.42%. So this is a bigger candle. It's a bigger drop. But despite it being bigger, the point difference is actually identical. Why? Because to keep a momentum like that more negative, you need to have bigger and bigger candles just to have that same momentum, indicating to us that these are more so outliers and we're likely looking to slow down. And look at us already bounce back up, 17444. So don't ever fall for outliers. It's just kind of I don't know how to describe it, but it's more a trick of the eye versus an actual, oh, are we heading more negative? The only times we're genuinely heading more negative is there's some massive bad news that occurs while we're running through our current pattern. And for everybody just joining, thank you for joining. I've covered so much of everything, but just to give everybody a feeling of what's to come, our main goal right now, we're looking over here, is the 12-hour candle. This is going to be the big one because the 12-hour candle still has some final resistance points that we want to flip over. So once we do flip over, which by the way, on the 12-hour candle right here, the upper band of resistance is currently sitting at 17082. We're expecting at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so in about 2 hours, 22 minutes, for this to push upward. It's going to push up to the 173, 174 range, and we're going to have a candle for the next 12 hours holding around this point. So do not expect us to see 1819 unless the Binance burn changes everything. Our current trajectory is looking to sit between this point of 170, likely 172, to the 176 for the next 15 hours. I don't make the rules. Try using TradingView, much better candle display. Oh, does it look that like I don't necessarily like the color scheme of it, but I don't know if it looks that awful for it. Visual, maybe I can let's, where is this format? Maybe like a darker, oh, that doesn't, does that look any better? I mean, I'm just assuming in terms of color displays here. Let's go for a darker red here as well. That kind of looks better, I guess. Let's, actually, I do kind of like that. All right. Oh, I don't know how I feel about that dark of a green. Okay, so for sure, probably during the next live, I will look into comparing the two, only because I've always been so used to using the KuCoin trading platform, it just, but it's usually something that I will definitely try and consider for the next one. So I do appreciate the feedback on that. But how do you feel about this color of green? Is it too strong? Because for me, it feels a little strong. So here we are, 17450. We still have about 5 minutes, by the way, on the 15-minute candle. And this is something that we kind of definitely want to look into, by the way. As you can see here, so the 15-minute candle is playing out more or less how we expected. It's currently at 17436. I'm gonna put down in the chat right now really quickly what our supports are sitting at, so we have a better idea. So 15-min supports at 17371, 371, 17103, and 17103. Okay, so that is our 15-minute supports here. So we're currently at 17419, which, by the way, in 5 minutes, that support is going to push up to 174. So everything is, at least for the moment, everything is holding up for us to hold above 174, which is fantastic to see. Because overall, we are going to come down. That's just how it kind of works. We're definitely going to come down to the 172, maybe even see 170. I don't think 170 is on the table. I think 172, 171 possibly. But we'll definitely see in the next 16 hours that 171, 172 range before we bounce back upward. How do we know this? Because of where the current bands of resistance are. Like let's for example go with the 8 hour here. So here's the 8 hour candle. It hasn't closed just yet. We've seen a single candle right now pushing well past the point of resistance. It's currently sitting at 16891. Yeah. So the previous one was at 16536. We're currently at 16891, about an increase of about 0.0003. What that means is the next candle, and it's at 11 a.m., it's going to only push upward to the 172, maybe the 173 range, if it does do so. So that means we're going to need to come back in line between 172 to 175 for the daily close. 172, 175 is fantastic. Nowhere in here, though, is a 170 in the cards. Not from what I can tell. Maybe somebody maybe able to explain to me why it would come down to 170 or even lower than that. But for now, I think we're holding out really well. Let's, and you can even see it in the 5 minute candles, by the way. So the 5 minute candle now support is at 17179, meaning in about 5 minutes, in about 3 minutes from now, we're going to see the support push up into the 172 range. Once more supporting the whole, hey, listen, I think 172 might be our bottom, our absolute bottom for the day. Now, there's a couple things I do need to make note of for those who are joining and is not aware. Our daily candle, we still have resistance points in our daily candle. The big ones being right here at 16655 and 167. So those two things are definitely, we're going to flip at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So in about 14 hours, 14 hours? Yeah, in about 14 hours and 17 minutes. Once we flip those two, this upper band of resistance is going to push much, much higher to about 17, like roughly 176, 177. That is going to be the candle that we're going to see push much, much higher than the current 1.8. So we saw our peak today, by the way, at 1.8. We're going to see this even push even higher. Now, this is all subject to change based on the Binance burn. I still don't know when that Binance burn is, but I know it's today. So unless it already happened and I missed it, I will look that up at some point. But really, I exclusively look at charts, and that's kind of how I understand things. So 1 minute left on the 15-minute candle, which is fantastic. We can finally kind of get an update on how this is coming along here. 17436. So for as we mentioned on our in the chat right now, our supports are at 17371, right? So that support we're expecting to push upward to the 174 while this comes down. It's coming on 17467. We're gonna definitely come down and touch our support. Maybe not in the next 15 minutes, but definitely by 5 a.m. Between 5 a.m. to 5:15, we're definitely looking to touch support at least once. 17476. Come on. Close and show us where we're currently pushing upward. And definitely, we want to see this bull band come way higher than it is. It's at 16626, nowhere near where we want to be at. But we know by, say, 11 a.m. or by, say, 7 p.m., it's going to be much higher. In fact, it might, just following this trajectory, I should probably draw a trend line on it. Yeah, if it's following the same trajectory here, we can see here it's kind of 16684. And over here, and this is the key point, by the way, 15-minute candle, look at where support is at. So 15 min supports as of 4:45 a.m. is now at 174,422. Sorry, 17431. So as we kind of thought, by the time it was time for us to come down, our support would meet us, right? So our support actually met us very, very strong, by the way, at 17431. All of it supporting, and I know I'm using support a lot, but all of it supporting this hold above 174, which is fantastic to see. So we're going to now trade sideways once more for at least another 2.5 hours. For those who are joining, I know you probably want to see another run up, but the run ups don't happen just yet. You can't have it happen back to back like that unless you have enough wiggle room, enough momentum, enough support. and enough consolidation. So that's kind of what we're going through. We had a beautiful run up. It's time to consolidate. It's time to find our supports. It's time to get ready for another run. So the next big candle we're expecting to close, and this is going to be huge, by the way. This one is going to be the 2-hour candle. So it's a fairly important candle. So there it is. This candle is our big one. It hasn't closed at all just yet. Its current point is at 16913. So definitely this needs to still keep pushing upward to the 172. And then like that's gonna be the next candle. And the following candle after that is gonna be around 174, which guess what? 174 has been our target point we've been talking about with our bottom around 172. So everything is falling all in line. Honestly, there isn't too much to worry about. I think we can all, other than me who's still up, we can all sleep a little comfortable knowing that our portfolios are just a little fatter on them. Like absolutely beautiful, guys. Which, by the way, for those who did join and missed anything, or for anybody who had any questions, I would say now is a good time to go ahead and ask. Other than that, I would request if you guys could just like and share the stream, maybe even just the channel, as I do everything I can for UNC at all given times, despite working as much as I do. So it just means a lot, you know. 17231. Wow. Are we actually seeing 17231 this quickly? Damn, guys, look at that. I mean, despite us coming down to the 1723 range, here is our band of support, which came up just in time for at 17226. So we're going to see this. Yes, it's going to come down, but we're going to see it pull back upward. So we do have 2 minutes left of this close. So let's see that pull up. Let's see if it happens. We only have 2 minutes for a pull up. And let's just zoom in here so you can see it. There it is. Look at that. And about, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. If we lose, by the way, if we lose our band of support this quickly, we may see some issues. But honestly, that's not how things go. Supports can hold out for at least one candle. So if you're testing the support, you should be able to hold out. There it is. There's a bounce back like we thought we were going to see happen. We have 1 minute left on this 5-minute candle. So let's see how strongly we can bounce back on this, because this, by the way, this 5-minute candle definitely lost quite a few of our supports. It's going to turn to resistance points. We don't want to see that just yet because we're still consolidating. We're still kind of trying to find our bottom here. Push up, push up. Come on, come on. You can do this. 17238 is not high enough. Push up just a little higher. Let's have a look at the MACD as well. A massive, by the way, look at this. It was slowing down, getting ready to flip back. 1 point, negative 10 points, and then this massive, massive candle drop here at about 26 points. Quite the anomaly, I will admit, meaning if it does follow anomaly patterns, then it's a single candle that's like this, as it'll start to bounce back up. But let's find out. It's holding exactly on, oh my. Oh no, I definitely don't want to see that. So we're currently below the band of there. It's frustrating. See, it'd be one thing if we had a negative candle. That's fine. I don't mind candles that drop. It's another to have candles where you lose a lot of supports. So we just lost one of our strongest supports at the median at 172.667, as well as the other supports between 173 range. So now we definitely need this to bottom out. 37, 54, 17 points. It's gained a bit of momentum from this massive candle here. It's still not very strong. And this is the 5-minute we are talking about here. So we are expecting this to flip back upward by about 5 a.m. that means. So give that a minute here. So let's jump back into the 15 minutes, see how that's playing out here. We as we wrote down, our supports was at 17431. That is gonna definitely lose out in this case. So we're gonna start losing more and more of our supports. Not fantastic, not what any of us want to see, but you know what? We had a good run up. Let's just retrace and find our bottom, is what I always say. So here it is. It's touched that point. This is on the hourly, by the way. This also means if we've just touched it, then we're definitely looking to just push a little bit back upward here. But this is like we touch this a lot sooner than we normally would. Like normally we would probably see this in about 9 minutes touching the point. Instead we're seeing it touch a little early here, but we are pulling back up after touching it. So that means we're gonna have this kind of range closing around. So in about 9 minutes, that is when we'll understand where this upper band is and where we're gonna be trading from. Currently sitting at 17158, probably around 1722, 1728 range. Come on, push up, push up. And then, of course, let's see how it affected our 30-minute candle here. So as far as the 30-minute candle goes, we had the one outside, so we were definitely going to need to have one come back inside. The thing was, the upper band of resistance was at 17361, right? So we didn't need to come down this hard on it. So upsets me, but I mean, it's fine. We're still coming within the point. We're still coming within the exact points we were expecting to come into. It also means, keep in mind, for those who are unaware, this isn't the bottom just yet, right? For the bigger candles, this is actually just the start. So you can see here, 133, currently 128. This is just the start of this negative momentum on these candles here. So for this one, if it does close around 17196, then we're going to need to bottom out in still another 3 to 4 candles, which will actually pull us down to 17000, which is, I mean, I guess it is what it is. No point complaining or crying about it, you know? The hourly here, so close. Let's definitely check in back on the 5-minute and see how that is now affecting everything. So currently 10, again, 27 points. This is about 19 points down from that. That's fantastic to see. So we know in 2 minutes, it'll probably be around 13, maybe 12 points as it starts to find its bottom. And just to confirm, if it is starting to find its bottom, we can have a very quick look at the minute chart here and know that our minute chart definitely hit the bottom band of support, right? We hit the bottom band of support. We had the one candle outside. Now we're coming back inside. Now we're going to trade sideways and we're going to come back around to the 173 range very soon here. So 17168. Let's just make sure 2421 points. This is it. This is the start here. Let me just expand this for you guys to see. So we can see here 31 points, 27 is about 433. So we do want to see this candle. By the way, it's at 3 points with a neutral candle. Like it says 0.00% difference. So we're definitely going to see this minute one at least push a little higher. Probably see 1718 for this minute close here. So let's see how that progresses along. While that does its thing, let's go back to the 5-minute candle as it gets ready to close out. Close out, close out. And there we go. Okay, so 17178, fantastic. So we can see here, once more, just to reiterate, 37 points down from 58 points. That was 19 difference, right? And we expect it to be about 13. Where are we at right now? We're about 11. So, yeah, exactly how we're kind of expecting to see it in line. So that does mean, this is a 5-minute, by the way, that does mean the 5-minute is looking to bottom out around 5:10 in the morning. So in about 15 minutes, not quite here. We're probably going to see 172 plus range around 505, 510. So around here. In the meantime, we can see here our bull band of resistance now is pushing up almost at 173 range. So it's getting fairly close to 173. When we flip that, it'll be nice. When has a resistance, not so nice. So we do still have 5 minutes left on that. Let's quickly jump back into the 1 minute and see if we have found that bottom just yet. We're still pushing slightly more than we want to be, right? It's not that strong either. A momentum about 1 point, not very strong at all, but it's still pushing there. So we haven't quite bottomed out yet. But this is looking to be it at 2-4 flat. Come on. Still flat. 2425. Still flat of 1 point. So it's not quite there yet. Come on. And I think the minute just closed here. Yeah, there we go. So it's, and okay. So now we are starting to see that pushback positive that we did want to see. But of course, this isn't consolidated just yet. It's not guaranteed to be positive just yet. Give this a minute. By about 4:57 here. It's 4:57 right now, by the way. There it is. So this is a 4:57 candle, and it is now guaranteeing that pushback upward. We still need 2 green candles to ensure it's a pattern here. So we're going to need to wait to see this one right here. Come on, come on, come on, come on. If this one is guaranteed, we can also see it in the trend line below. For those who cannot see it, let me just expand that a little bit. For the trend line below, this way needs one more candle, as we can see here, to get ready to flip back positive. So it's not quite there yet, but it's getting very, very close. We're starting to see that push up 17120 as this line gets ready. Push, push, push. Push, push. It's 4:57, by the way. So we have 3 minutes left on the hourly. We have 3 minutes left on the 2-hour. So this is some key points here. So that's why we're looking at the 1 minute to ensure how it closes out. And it looks like we'll definitely have a chance to close at the 1.7, possibly 2 plus. I don't think we'll hit 1.72 plus, probably the 1.718, which falls in line with us seeing that 1.72 plus in about 5.05, 5.10 range, right? So 17136, and there it is, getting ready to cross here. And about 23, so 9-point difference here. It's slowing down 4 points, but it is holding negative, meaning we're still probably expecting this to push back up. So I don't expect this to hold as negative as it is. So let's see if it does. Because everything, even if you look at over here at the line, by the way, it was indicating towards getting ready for a cross, right? Push up, push up, push up, push up, push up, push up. No, don't do this, don't do this. Otherwise, I'm going to keep trailing slightly negative. Currently, the bottom band of support, by the way, is sitting at 16971. I don't want us to touch back into the 169 range for no other reason than the fact I just don't want to see it. I mean, it's not an issue if we do see it, but I just don't want to. 4:59 here. We have 1 minute left. Okay, so now it's a pushback upward. So we did kind of lose some momentum, right? 16 to 15 points and currently 10 points, about 6 points up. We definitely lost some momentum there. So we're definitely not expecting to see 172, but we are expecting to hold 171 for the hourly as well as the 2-hour close. So give it a minute here. We're almost there. And in this time, as I kind of talked myself well into the abyss, if anybody, again, has any questions or any comments or wants me to go over anything, by all means, just go ahead and drop it in the chat and it will do so. 17096, 17114, there we go, there we go. Come on. Like a 171 plus, that's absolutely fine. I would love to see that. There we go. So it's currently 5 a.m. This candle is just about to close. 17094. No, not really what I wanted, but you know. Okay, so this candle opened at 17128, and it also means finally let's look over here and see how things are developing, right? So here is our 15-minute. Oof, what a massive fall that was, eh? So the past 15 minutes has been a bit of a struggle for us, but that's okay. Really, no issues there. So let's have a quick look here and see how this negative momentum isn't playing out. So we did see here the 159 down to 145, it's about 14 points. Exactly what this is fine, but this is just a prelude to it. We knew we were gonna have a bigger dip. I didn't expect it to be as big a dip as it was. So that went from 145 to 104, so about 41 points down, and currently at 70. So we can see here 34 points. It is definitely slowing down in that negative momentum. And how we know this for a fact is because the current price difference is about negative 0.29% down for this 15-minute candle. And despite that, it is still a slower acceleration. So this is great to see here. It does mean we are probably going to find a bottom around just a little lower than that. Currently, the support band is at 16703. We will probably see it around 169 plus. I didn't want to see that, but Okay, so let's go over to the half an hour candle here, see how that's playing out. So the half an hour candle has had a bit more time. So over here we can see this is oh okay. So the half hour candle one is kind of definitely what's showing us. So we're probably gonna see 169 possibly in the next half an hour. I say this because this is the candle that's gonna have the big drop. So usually for those who are unaware, what happens is one, you have the run up, you have the candle outside of the upper band of resistance, you have the second one that pulls you back in, and then you have the third one that drops. The drop comes down to our support points. So that being said, the momentum is 133 to 124, so about 9 points, and this is the drop one, right? This drop is a little too small, so if it doesn't drop hard right now, it's going to drop even harder in the next one. So that's not fun. All of it indicating we may actually see a 169 in the next half an hour to an hour. If we do see it, no reason to panic. Just means it needs to play out how it does as we find our supports and get ready to push upward again. So here we are. This is the hourly candle, by the way. So over here, we had the one candle, our strong push up as always. We had the one outside the candle, which by the way, it was still outside. Look here. And now we have a current candle falling within line. So this candle is going to be the one that trades sideways, as we know. So over here, it's peaking out 71 points up to 87 points, about 16 points. And now it's time to kind of align up. So what that means is that this next hour is definitely looking to trade sideways. So if it's currently 17096, we're looking to, where's the bottom of this? The bottom of the candle so far has been at 17043. Expect this bottom to actually be a little lower than that, probably around 1699 to the peak of it at 171. So that's where we're looking to hold between for the next 57 minutes. So that's the 57-minute prediction here. Let's jump over to the 2-hour candle because that also closed. We've just had our first candle close, well, our first bigger candle close. So here it is. This is the 2-hour. We had a beautiful, beautiful run up and a massive, massive peak of 1.8. Now it's time to kind of fall back in line, right? So let's look at where our support has come to. So the band of resistance is currently at 16935. Yeah, 16935. So if that's the case, you know for a fact in the next 2 hours, we're going to come fairly close to this point of resistance and close just above it. So if it's currently at 16935, then we're likely looking, sorry, where is it? 16944. Let me just write that down in the chat here. So 2-hour upper band, 16939/1. It's around that range. So what that means is in the next 2 hours, we're going to come very, very close to touching it. Meaning we are going to see 169 in the next 2 hours. Likely we're going to see it about 1695. And then that next candle, this is going to push upward to the 171 as we start to trade sideways between that point. So that's what we know for the next 2 hours. We're going to come to 169 plus. Let's look at the 4-hour candle. This is not closed at all, by the way. So this is going to be an outlier in where it goes. And we know for a fact the upper band of resistance currently is at 16827, meaning we really, really want to see this upper band of resistance at 7 a.m. be around the 1.7 range. If it's around 1.7 range, it's fine. That's fantastic. I don't expect it. I think it's going to be around 169, to be honest. But let's see how it plays out. So I think that covers. Actually, it might be around 171. Just looking at the difference here, maybe closer to 171, but we'll see. So I think that actually covers everything. I've been talking now for like an hour, 6 minutes straight. I am gonna keep the live stream open for quite some time to come, and I'm gonna update it again at about 7 a.m. where we're gonna see the 2-hour candles, we're gonna see the 4-hour candle, we're gonna see the 12-hour candle play out because those are gonna be some key things. So do look forward to that. For everybody who joined and who has been joining, thank you so much for listening in. Please do like, sub, share, everything you can because I'm gonna have this going for as long as I can, and it would just mean a lot to if you help me out here. Hey guys, welcome back to Goooo. So it's been a couple hours. We've just experienced our 12-hour close, meaning we have our first candle now in the 12-hour range. So we have quite a lot to talk about. First off, we need to talk about the upper bound of resistance here. So you can see it moved up. Before it was at 17003. It's currently pushed up to about 17070, 1768. Not the greatest, I'll be honest, because I was hoping for more 171, even maybe a 172. But what that does mean is you can see here, the momentum is starting to plateau outward. That's also indicating to us that we're going to come back in line between 168 to 169. I wanted it a little higher because the higher the resistance point is, the more we're pushed upward, but that's just not the case. So that being said, what can we expect? Well, for the next 12 hours, expect us to be sitting between our current price point of 17190. So expect to sit between 17064 to 172. That's likely where we're going to be sitting unless something insane happens, like maybe the Binance volume is beyond what we expected. Who knows? But unless something insane happens, we're likely looking to sit between 170 to 172. We may see a bit of a dip downward here to 168, 169 for a little bit, but for sure by 7 p.m. tonight, we're going to come back upward to this point, and from there, we're going to start to see this over here, this momentum start to plateau even further as we start to come back downward. When we do start to come back downward, it's okay. It's not a big issue. It just means for the next one, two, three, four, so about 4 candles onward, we just need to be able to plateau out before we can run again. So what does all that mean? One, it means we're going to start to trade sideways for the next 2 to 3 days as we build back up our momentum to run back upward into the 1.8. That 1.8 we saw here was well beyond every sort of resistance possible, and we can't keep hitting that unless we want our entire momentum to be absorbed up. Instead, we want to be able to grow organically and create that momentum. So that being said, that's currently where the 12 hour sits. The other candle that did close is the 4 hour. So let's quickly have a look at that. So the 4 hour, just like the 12 hour, has only had one candle so far. So we can see here the upper band of resistance on the 4 hour is currently sitting at 17033. So what does that tell us? Well, we know for a fact that tells us that our current price from 17185 is way too high. Instead, we're likely looking to trade at least until 11 a.m. between 17032 to our current price from 17185. Why is that the case? Well, it's because you can see here our momentum is slowing down greatly, right? So from 72 points to 95 points, about 13 points, we're definitely looking to come back downward in the next candle. So between 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., that's when we're going to start to come back down. I'm going to come back down within this upper band of resistance. So it won't be this candle, but it'll be the next one. So expect this next candle to bump upward to about 172. So I'll bump up to 172, and we'll sit somewhere between that, between 170 to 172, between 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that's a lot of where the 4 hour sits. I do want to just update on where our current supports for the 4 hour sit. So let's just have a quick look at that here. Which, by the way, for those who haven't joined my live before or first time joining my live, a lot of those supports I don't cluster the screen with. Instead, I'll just pull it up really quick on my phone, and then I do update and write it out in the chat so everybody can see that. Because I prefer really just one or two so that way I can see clearly what's going on. So here we are, 4 hour, really quick. Let's pull it up. So our supports of the 4 hour are actually very, very low at the moment, and it also explains why we need to come back down. We're probably going to see the 169, 168 throughout the day. So our supports here, 4 hour supports as of 7 a.m. is 168, 16851, 16652. Okay. So I have put it in the chat. You can see very clearly there. Our 4 hour supports for the next 4 hours is at 16851. Are we going to touch that? No, not likely. Instead, what's likely going to happen is we're going to see our supports or touch our supports, not this candle, but the next candle. And in that next candle, our supports are going to push even higher, by the way. So currently it's at 168, as I mentioned in the chat. It's likely going to push upward to the 1699 range in the next 4 hours following that. So between 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., as we come back down, we'll have supports in the upper 169 range, which is really good to see because that's going to slow down this negative momentum and ensure we run back upward within the next 5 to 6 candles. In the case of 4 hours, that means about 20 hours or so. So where does this leave our bottom to be at? Well, our bottom is usually found at the second support range. So our second support is currently at 16652. That's definitely going to push upward to the 167. So at least we're looking like possibly the bottom may be found around 167. And we're going to see that bottom around 7 p.m. tonight. So I think that updates a whole lot of everything on that side. Now just quickly checking the 2 hour. So the 2 hour also closed, by the way. The 2 hour is now onto its third candle. So it's going to be here where it comes back in line. So you're going to see that happen over here. The upper band of resistance currently sits at 17094. So that means this band of resistance is going to push up to the 171 as we're going to start to trade sideways in that. So by about 11 a.m., expect us to be within this band. And that's going to be at 171, meaning we're going to be trading between 169 to 170 within the next 2 to 4 hours. Oh, also, wait, really quickly, I do want to check the momentum here. So the 2 hour momentum, by the way, is still heading slightly positive, which shouldn't be the case, meaning we're definitely going to start to head negative by about 11 a.m. And we can actually see that as we fall in line within the candle here. So this will definitely come back in line by the next candle. Now, of course, our 1 hour. And our 1 hour has had quite some time now since this massive run up. We've had about 1, 2, 3, 4 candles here, as you can see, and it's followed everything that we've kind of talked about with the other candles, but it's already done it, right? So in the case of the 1 hour here, it had its big candle, it had the one outside, and then it had the candle that came back inside within the resistance point, and then slightly pushed up, but still had to come back down, now further heading back down. So what you always can expect is when you have a candle come back in within that resistance point, the following candle is always going to be a fairly sideways kind of trading. You can see here, this is one of the smallest candles because not very much happened, right? Following that, and here's kind of the big thing. You're gonna have two candles which are much steeper. So over here we have our first candle. We're about down 1%, much bigger than that previous hour, by the way. This is 0.76. This is 1% within the first 10 minutes. So this is going to be probably sitting around 0.8 to 1.2% downward, and then the following hour you're going to see just a little bit more. And here is where our supports matter the most, because our support is going to slow down this candle and the following candle. And then it's going to probably bring us around close to our band of our support band here. So this is 16619. It is coming slightly up as we go through the hours here. So this will probably push up to about 167, which is kind of where we're expecting to bottom out at too, by the way. So very quickly, let's have a look at where our 1 hour supports are currently sitting at. And I'm going to update that in the chat here. So 1 hour supports as of 7 a.m. So our support is at 17125, 125, 16942, and 16634. So 16942 and 16634. And bull for it at 16620. Okay, so that is all of our current supports. We can see very clearly here our first support is being tested as we speak, right? So this current support of 17125 is actually holding out very, very strong. And you can tell that because we bounced off it, right? So here we are, we're likely to hold within the next hour around this point. Like probably this 1.1% down is going to be the peak of this candle here. In the next candle, this support, our 17125, is going to give way. What happens usually with smaller candles, if you're unaware, is that they can only hold up for about one attack at most, if you want to put it that way. So it's only going to hold up for this one candle. Then we're going to start to come downward. And we're going to start to come down to test our next support line. As we can see here in the chat, our next support line is at 16942. That support line by the next candle, so at 8 a.m., is going to come up and probably be around 1699. So we have a bit more support in the 1699 range, which we're expecting to see happen. So it's going to hold us up for that second candle here before about 9 a.m. And that 9 a.m. mark is where we're going to have to, like for sure I'll have to update, but probably by then we're going to start to come back down a little bit more. But the thing is, by that point, so this is 8 a.m., 9 a.m. right here, by this point, this negative momentum will have slowed down. Right now it's starting to pick up, it's picking up its speed, it'll pick up its speed, but by 9 a.m. it's going to start to slow down, and then it's probably plateau out by 10 to 11 a.m., which likely the bottom of which will be the final support line I wrote there at 16634. That's going to push up to 167. So we're going to have that support at 167 for this bottoming out on the hour candle. Just to see this play out, by the way, the 30-minute has actually played it out really, really well here. So you can see here, negative momentum has begun. You have you had that first momentum, then you had a sideways point. Now you have that harsher drop, right? So that's where we're currently sitting at with this. It's about 105 points down, 105 points down to 89. So about 16 points down to 62, so about 17 points. So, but look at this, right? So this is kind of key here. After all this sideways trading, the negative momentum has actually slowed down. While it may not look like it, over here, this one candle has required a 0.91% drop just to be the equivalent negative momentum as the previous candle. So what that tells us is this negative momentum has slowed down and we'll likely start to see it reverse in about half an hour to an hour, at least for the half-hour candles, by the way. So that reverse is going to be really nice to see because it's going to probably bottom out at about 169,170. So one more, and then bottom out here. Just to put up our supports for the half an hour. Oh, by the way, while we're talking about supports, look at where we're at. When we're at 17142, right? So that 17142 range is kind of sitting around where the support is. So let's quickly talk about the 30-minute here. So 30-minute supports at 17220, 17102, and of course we have here our bull band at 16726. What are the chances that this really is the start of the run? Cohen asked a question, what are the chances this is really the start of the run? Well, this is actually quite the semblance of the start of the run. I mentioned this earlier. I don't know if you were here for my live stream at the beginning here, but let's actually talk about that. So this is the chances this is the start of the run, by the way. If you're aware, runs don't simply play out within hours. It actually plays out over the course of quite some weeks. So we're looking here at the weekly candle, I believe. Yeah. So this weekly candle, if we look back to our previous massive run, we had one candle that was meant to break all resistance points. So this run up we had here, which was massive, by the way, broke all resistance, and then we had our huge run up, and then it played out. So it took about 2 weeks to play out. We're kind of seeing that semblance happen here, where we have our first candle in so many months that one has broken above wedge, and then zoom in really quickly here. Look at where we're coming under, the resistance point of 17165. So this candle and this week, by the way, the entirety and the whole point of it is to break resistances, flip them into supports to set us up for a run next week. Because if you look here on the weekly MACD, it hasn't actually crossed yet. This isn't the exact, this is not the run that you want to see, but this is the start of the run we want to see. We want to ensure we flip these resistance points. So by 6 days from now, on next Wednesday, we have everything set up to run just like we did months ago. And that run is going to last 2 weeks following that. So this is just a semblance, or I guess the starting point of all of these runs. So in that sense, get really, really excited for it because one, to ensure we run, by the way, we need to have 2 candles above wedge. This is our first candle, which also tells you that this is just the starting line here. By the way, the wedge currently sits at 1542. By the end of the week, we want to be one above this. We also want to be above this resistance point. Doing both those things will set up our full run and our full-fledged run, not just 3.83% or whatever. No, I'm talking about 10 to 100x run over the course of the next 2 weeks, all dependent on how this week goes. I hope that does answer your question, by the way. I think that covers most of everything. The last one, so you can see it fully playing out here, is the 15-minute candle. So let's just kind of zoom in there. So here we can see we had this massive run up, which is this. Then we had a couple candles out that led to the peak out. Then we fell back within the resistance line, and then we started to trade sideways. Now this trading us sideways Notice how that entirety of it was a negative momentum, and it still hasn't impacted us too much, right? Instead, let's just have a quick look here. -8, -16, -33, -45. So instead, on the 15-minute candles here, we can finally start to see a slowdown. We did, which is a bit of a shame, we did lose our median band of support. This is always a nice line to have. We did lose it. That's absolutely fine. It's not too big of an issue. Instead, we're going to start to see a reversal and a pushback upward by about 7:45 Eastern Standard Time. I'm glad that helped. Yeah. So then, at around 7:30, you'll see this definitely bottom out. Then by 7:45, you'll see us start to push back upward. This resistance band, by the way, is going to hold us down. So it's currently at 17156. You're going to see a push up to about 1718, then 1719. By the 1719 point, when we're reversing, it's going to hold us down. Does it suck? Yes, it does. Because while it holds us down, what's going to happen is it's going to absorb our momentum, and then we're going to start to flip back downward once more. So we're going to do this kind of motion. We're going to go from here, one more down, then start to push back up, hit that resistance point, and come back down like that. And that second back down is what we're expecting to see happen, where we come down to the 169, the 168 range. Once that bottoms out, so somewhere around here, once that bottoms out, then we'll start to push back up. I hope that makes sense. Like, it makes a lot of sense to me. But again, I stare at these all day. So. Now, just to show you guys even more so, have a look. Actually, yeah, this is perfect. So like that 15-minute, everything that I described there, that's what this was, right? So let's first find that run up. So here it was. Oh, actually, guys, look, this is exactly what I'm talking about. So here it was. We had this moment, had this sideways trading, came up negative on it, and then just came push past it, lost the momentum immediately. That's the key point here, right? We pushed barely past it, lost the momentum immediately, and then we came down. That's what we're kind of expecting to see with 15-minute. Maybe not as horrendous as this looks, but definitely we're going to hit that band of resistance, maybe push past a little bit, but it's going to absorb so much of our momentum, we're going to immediately flip negative. Now, how do we know then we're heading back up, at least especially between 7:30 and 7:45 to 8 onward? Well, it's because on the 5-minute candle here, we've hit the bottom support line. So this bottom support line has been hit. It's going to keep getting hit a couple times, but then by that point, we're going to start to go back upward because the support is helping us, just like how the resistance screws us over. So I think that covers everything. If anybody has any questions, by all means, go ahead and ask. Otherwise, I do actually have to get ready for work, so it looks like I'll have to end the live stream here. I will be back after work at some point to continue letting you guys know and update you guys on everything going on with LUNC. Do get excited for the daily close, because that's always a huge one, as well as get excited for the 8-hour, by the way. So the 8-hour itself hasn't actually seen a candle yet, right? If you zoom out here, we haven't seen a close yet on the 8-hour. So what are we expecting for the 8-hour? For those who are unaware, the upper band of resistance currently is at 16754. By 11 a.m., that's actually going to push upward to about 169 range. So around 169, maybe 117. We'll trade still above it. So we'll be around 172 to 170 between 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. close. So then from there, we will start to come back down. Again, not the worst thing in the world. It just means when you have a run up, you need to also have a moment of come down, of retracement, of consolidation. Once you've had those moments, you get ready for another run. Now, there is one caveat I need to explain, and something that might affect all of this. And that is the Binance burn. We're all excited for it. I don't know when it is. I don't know when they're going to announce it, but that may affect the charts slightly. If it does affect the charts, wherever I am, I will try and live stream. So have a great day. Exciting time. I know, right? So yeah, well, if it does affect the charts, I will try and live stream wherever I am to update you guys. So please do sub, please do like, as it honestly, like, I've been struggling so much, but thanks to all of your support, I've been able to keep going with these things. So it would mean a lot if you did like the stream, if you did share it around, if you did just sub. So that being said, thanks for listening. I'll see you guys soon.